Hello and welcome back to our video series on XYZ Mesh. I'm Kyle, the creator of XYZ Mesh, and today I'll be stepping you through the steps on how to use the import settings inside of XYZ Mesh to convert your data to the correct format that you need. If you would like to follow along with us in this video series, you can obtain your very own copy of XYZ Mesh from the description down below. Every new install comes with a 5-day full functional evaluation, so you can determine if the product is right for you. Now that the introduction is out of the way, let us get started with this tutorial. XYZ Mesh is a software used to create three-dimensional surface plots from XYZ data. These created plots can then be exported into Microsoft Excel graphs, DXF drawings, CSV data tables, text, and even integrated models. The best part of XYZ Mesh is the ability to share those exported plots with anyone without any extra software required. Importing your data into XYZ Mesh is simple. XYZ Mesh has an intuitive copy and paste functionality. Copy your data from any data table program, like Excel, and paste it into XYZ Mesh's Input tab. Automatically, your data will be plotted and you will see a 3D rendering of your points on the right. You may notice that your input window has a set number of rows. These rows can be adjusted manually or automatically. To adjust manually, type in the desired number of rows you would need for your data into the rows text box and click Update/Clear Row Count. All data in the input box will be cleared and your rows will be updated to reflect the number that you indicated in the box. By default, the rows will automatically update when pasting in new data. However, this option is a little bit slower as it requires XYZ Mesh to count copied rows and make adjustments before the data is pasted. By default, this option is left on, but you can toggle this setting off underneath the Input tab grid window. If you'd like to create more data points from your XYZ data or fill in empty gaps with curved data, simply click Interpolate. This will loop through and create XYZ data for any of the empty gaps that might have been in your original data set. If you would like to convert to a mesh, click Convert to Mesh, and watch as your data is converted into a mesh format ready for Excel or other graphing applications. If you'd like to create a complex 3D rendering of your surface with models and assets, click 3D Surface Render. You will see a new window where you can specify your assets, textures, and other variations such as paths. We will be covering this part in a later portion as it requires more explanation to fully grasp. But if you would like to create a fast render, just click Preview and watch as your interactive surface is created. XYZ Mesh has a lot of conversion options available to the user, and keeping with the ease of use ideals expressed so far in the application, XYZ Mesh has all of these features just a single click away. Everything you need to have set up should be on by default, but I'm going to explain these settings so you have a better idea as to what you need. The first setting you want to look at is the curving function. Curving data is taking empty data points that may exist when converting from XYZ into another format and filling those empty gaps in with calculated values. These values are dependent on ranges from the known points to help predict what empty points might contain. XYZ Mesh has three settings for curving. The first, which is selected by default, is called Complete Curve. This will loop continuously and perform hundreds of passes to make sure that all data points are filled in before the graph is completed. This option does take a bit longer to complete, but produces the best results. Second is called a fast curve. A fast curve sends the data through a minimal amount of passes needed to generate a complete enough graph version of your data. Sometimes this could be a completed curve, but many times corners may not be calculated while the center part of the graph is. The last option for curving is single points. Single points will only use the points available in the input tab and not create new data points. This is good if you would like to plot your data as is, but if your goal is a completed 3D surface graph, you might get undesirable results. When graphing in a mesh format, not all data plotters read meshes the same way. Excel, for instance, assumes and expects each data point to be evenly dispersed. If the mesh data Excel is plotting has a tightly condensed set of data and then a data set spaced further apart, it will plot this data as if it was all spaced evenly, resulting in a poor depiction of the data. Theoretical points is an option that will allow XYZ Mesh to calculate distances between points. This results in a more accurate depiction when exporting to Excel. Interpolation will allow you to create curved XYZ data without first converting the data to mesh. By default, XYZ Mesh will ask you if you would like to export the data to a CSV or replace the original input data set. With auto interpolation turned on, this process will be automated and automatically replace the original data, thus removing a step in the conversion process. While converting your data, decimal points play a crucial role in determining how large your final exported data set will be. This can be set manually next to the manual update graph button or automatically set with the auto adjust decimal option. With this option selected, your data will automatically be processed and calculated to the highest value data set possible that is still within the Excel maximum limit of 255 by 255, or just over 65,000 data points. Sometimes you will need to overlay your original data on top of your converted data. Selecting Show Origin Path will transpose a line graph over top of your converted mesh data. This option will only work on mesh data, as if you interpolate data, the newly created data points overwrite the original, thus just putting you a line graph over all the points you have plotted anyway. Sorting is a setting that we recommend you do not adjust. There are two options for this: auto, which is turned on by default, and do not sort. Auto sort will automatically line up your data in the correct format for proper graphing. However, there are some cases where sorting data is not ideal. For those instances, you can choose do not sort, which will keep data in the same orientation as it was entered. However, the graphed data may not be accurately represented in a standard graphing format. New in version 10 is the ability to use your computer's graphics processing unit, or GPU, to run calculations. Previously, XYZ Mesh used the GPU for only graphing and focused the bulk of the conversion on your CPU or your computer's processing unit. The advantage of using the GPU over the CPU is a much faster conversion time and the ability to process many calculations at once. The downside is that the GPU cannot process the mathematical calculations quite as efficiently as the CPU does. However, this is only noticeable whenever you are curving or creating hundreds of data points from only a handful of original points. The GPU processing will give you quicker results. However, the CPU processing will give you more accurate results. Reversing the way a graph shows on the axis can be done at any time. By default, reverse X is left on. This is due to the way that mesh format data is laid out, with X being reversed from the standard graphs. This is the same for all mesh formatted data regardless of the graphing application. Unless specifically needed, leave reverse X on. The other options reverse the axes on their own specific axes, and it can be shown in the graph whenever you click on any of the reverse axes options. And that is it for today. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you better understand the conversion settings inside of XYZ Mesh. In our next video, we'll be covering the graphing settings inside the graphing window of XYZ Mesh. If you are interested in XYZ Mesh, you can try the full evaluation down below and watch some of our other videos on this products if you would like, or some of our other videos in general. We offer other products as well and product reviews. Thank you for watching, and until next time, have a great rest of your day.